First game against the Chiefs, it's kind of a weird game if you just look how it transpired. They didn't score any points except one quarter.
Yep.
You guys got out to a lead. It was week 2, it was a while ago, in September. Can you guys take things away from that game, or is it kind of one of those things where it's tough because a lot has changed for both teams since then?
Yeah, a lot has changed for both teams. Especially you watch the film and you're like, there's a lot of different people on the field for us. There's some different people for them on the field. And it is what it is, but it definitely has some things that you can take away from it. Matchups and things you saw personally and personal experience. Nothing like personal experience. I always talk about that, especially as a quarterback. Taking away, playing the same scheme or playing the same coach or trying to get to know them, especially when they're new in the division, things like that. But you're right. A lot of things have changed, and you take it for what it is.
Going up against this offense and Mahomes and knowing they score a lot of points, do you have to resist the temptation to try and do too much and put 50 on the board, kind of stay within your game, that sort of thing?
Absolutely. I think I've gotten to a place because early in my career I would I gotta make every play, and Coach Gruden does a really good job of worrying about the scoreboard himself. When he calls a play, my job is just to know what he wants done on that play. If he wants to take a shot, he'll call it. If he wants to do A, B, and C, he'll call it. And I just try and play the position the way he wants it played. And I think that's freeing for me, especially for a quarterback, because there's been times where I've gone into games like, I understand who we're playing, I understand how it's going. Man, I may need to force this one, or I get myself in trouble. And just making sure I stay within what Coach wants. Because if he calls something, then hey, that's what I want. But if not, you just try and manage the game and be exactly who he wants you to be.
Given the way that the games have gone in Arrowhead since you've been here, you knew this question was coming.
Yeah.
How important is it for you to get over that hump, to win there, to even look at it in those terms?
I honestly, every time we play there, it's funny you say that. Like the last couple of times, it's like, oh, we're playing the Chiefs again. I'm like, oh, dang, we haven't won there yet, And it hits you later on, It's not something that's conscious or anything like that. And they've been a really good football team for a long time. It's a tough place to win. You can ask a lot of people that have been through there. It's not easy, right? I think even the year that, the Patriots, went back or went to the Super Bowl, they got blown out there in Arrowhead. It's not easy to play there. It's loud. It's rowdy. They put up a lot of points, right? They do a lot of things well on defense. So it's just tough to play there. Tough place, but that's why we play the games, You look forward to moments like this.
Plus, you always play them in December.
Yeah.
And the whole cold weather thing comes up. And even Jack Del Rio on Twitter this week mentioned that Derek struggles in cold weather.
Yes, Jack was there with me a couple of those times. I used to think this was a team game. But yes, it's all my fault, and I take full responsibility.
A little off topic from football. It's Thanksgiving week, obviously. You've been a pro for a while now. Obviously, you have a job to do, play football, but it's holiday, family time. How do you kind of balance that this week? I know sometimes you're on the road, sometimes you're at home, but how do you treat Thanksgiving week during the season?
That's a great question. Kind of like I treat every week. When I get here early to get some work in, stay here, grind, get a lot of stuff done. So when I get home, I'm a good husband, I'm a good father, and that is during Thanksgiving week or not, right? As I've learned throughout these years, if that isn't right, this doesn't mean anything, right? Being a good husband, being loyal to my wife, treating her with honor and respect, doing the same for my kids, and making sure that their father is there, that plays with them, does what they want to do, all those things. I try and do that all the time. Am I perfect at it? No. Sometimes I get home and I'm like, man, I got to watch that blitz cut up again, and things like that. But with that said, when this week comes up, it's Thanksgiving, we have a lot to be thankful for. We'll have, 30-plus guys, teammates, and their families at our house, and people that don't have anywhere to go, and they need a place. So it's a moment for us to take a few hours and, just be around each other and really express what we're thankful for, especially just being around one another. And so this week gives you an opportunity to really think about it, but it's definitely something I try my best to do every week.
How comfortable you feel with Zay Jones now that he's been here for a while? He's got more snaps every week, it seems like, but he didn't get, the targets are pretty much down, and obviously he's not been here as long as the other guys, so maybe that's understandable. How do you feel about him? Do you feel good about throwing to him no matter the situation?
Absolutely feel good about it. One of the things with Zay too is when he showed up, it's hard coming in mid-season, because you go through training camp, your coach is trying to find out what routes he likes people on. He's trying to find out, what he likes certain plays to be called for certain people, and then he gets here and then you kind of get thrown into some positions where, I got to clear this out, or you're a backside option, or you're things like that, right? But what you start to see with Zay is his role increasing every week, with how coach installs the plays and the positions that he's putting him in, and things like that. If we're in one of those big groupings, if Tyrell's not there, then Zay's in, and that's, you start to see like, oh man, his role increase. And it's hard with Waller, with Tyrell, when Hunter was, playing, with our running backs, the way coach, likes to get them the ball in the pass game. It's hard to find a place to, where's my 5 catches, it's tough. And so I definitely see, especially with Hunter out,
exactly.
He's got to step up and be a guy for us, which he is. And he's been doing a great job. When we've thrown it to him, he's made some great plays, on some big third downs, has won versus man coverage, which is not easy to do in this league. So I say all that to say the confidence is very high in what he can do. But just coming in mid-season, it's tough to find your place in that offense.
Hunter's a guy you really came to learn to trust. How big a loss is that going to be?
Yeah, it's going to hurt, because I love that guy. We spent a lot of time during training camp, before every walkthrough. Him and I would walk the field and go over certain types of routes that we knew we were going to throw all season. We did every day. And when you have that kind of chemistry and time built over time, you just trust somebody, and then when you get into real games and they're making plays for you, you're like, how do you not keep getting them the ball? You know what I mean? And so it'll hurt. He'll be back, whenever he gets back and everything's fine. Most importantly, we care about his health, and things like that. But with him out, it definitely opens the door for other guys to get more catches.
Could you tell that he did? His injuries were pretty substantial. Could you see how hurt he was?
No, he does not show it. And one thing about him too is he does not want he never wants his teammates to think, oh man, I can't do it, or I don't want to be out there. And I don't think any of us here would say that about Hunter Renfrow. We know how much it means to him. Another thing for him is like, oh man, he was too small coming out, or things like that. So he doesn't want to get hurt and then, oh, I can't play. The guy literally maybe hit him before the ball was there and straighten his back. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing Hunter could have done about that. Versus that coverage, he ran the route perfect. That's where the ball's got to go. And things happen. It's a collision sport. So I say all that to say, like, I hope Hunter doesn't feel like he let anybody down or anything like that. We trust him. We love the guy, and can't wait for him to get him back.
Derek, you talked about guys needing to step up now that Hunter's down. You and Darren Waller had such a good rapport early on. What have you seen over the last month in the way teams are taking him away from you?
Yeah.
And how important is it going to be for you guys going forward to get him back involved?
Yeah, I think a lot of our production came from people trying to double and triple team him, and then you see, guys like Hunter or Zay get a big play, or, Trevor, in some earlier games, and Tyrell, obviously, and all those kind of things. You try and take advantage of those things. People play Waller different, He kind of reminds me of how people started playing Cookie last year. In the years prior when I had, a good tight end and, loved to feature him, get him the ball. They play things a little bit different. And so there's different ways to get him involved and things like that. But I will say, if teams do want to put 2 guys on him, that does open a door for somebody else. Now, if they don't want to do that, then we definitely have all the trust in the world that Darren will make plays.
Last one, guys.
You've seen from the O-line the last few games, some guys came back from injuries. You've seen, are they up to where they should be, or what do you think as far as the last 2 weeks?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And there's been a couple plays where, you tip your cap to the play the defense made. Like, that's as good as our offensive line is, it's also the NFL, man. Like, they're going to scheme some stuff up where guys get edgy and it makes it tougher on them and things like that. And we learn from those things. And I think we have actually grown in the last couple of weeks, in a couple of those areas, but there's always things that we can improve on. And it starts with me just being able to get through a read faster, or get, help them with a call or get the ball out better, things like that. So I always look at myself because sacks are never all on them. We know that. It's a lot on the quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, maybe missing something, things like that. So, hey, Colton. But, those guys, I think from when I've been able to stand back in the pocket, we saw a couple third downs versus some blitzes where I'm just back there. I get to wait for the whole thing to clear up and, find guys. So I think they're doing a great job.